Going on YouTube? Just wanted to make a quick video about my tire swap that just happened recently, about a month and a half ago. Ever since I bought my bike, well, when I first bought the bike, it had Battle Axe 16Rs on it, and those tires sucked. Those tires were absolutely horrible. I can give you an example of it. I went to Milwaukee. I can't remember what I was going to Milwaukee for, but I was on my way back, and I was on the freeway, and speed limit is what, 65 at that time, and I was going 80, and it was just around a corner that was nothing, and I lost my rear. My rear tire started sliding on me, and ever since that happened, I came straight home and ordered tires. The tires that I've basically had since I've had this bike were Michelin Pilot Power 3s. So I went home and watched a bunch of films on YouTube and studied and figured out what was the best tire for me. So religiously, I have pretty much ran Pilot Power 3s ever since I had this bike. And I think ever since the last track day I had at Road America, I had my track day on those tires, and they did not perform very well on the track at all. And I even saw like the Motorcycle News reviews that they did on it, and they didn't place very well at all. They didn't place very well at all, and I didn't really believe them, because I'm like, oh, I'm not a professional racer. I'm not going to be pushing it to that limit. And pretty much everything they said in the review was true. They get greasy. They were sliding all over the track. They were sliding areas of the track that I did not think that they would be sliding in. So pretty much ever since then, I was like, yeah, I'm never going back on the track again with those tires, or doing any kind of like super hardcore riding on those tires. So I think about a month and a half ago now, I went on a trip with a buddy of mine to the Tail of the Dragon. We actually went to North Carolina instead of Tennessee, and we rode a bunch of different roads up there. So for that trip, I decided, you know, I'm gonna get us a different set of tires. I don't want to be pushing it that hard on those tires, since I kind of lost faith in them. So I went and bought a set of Dunlop Q3s, which I was wanting to try those based on the reviews they gotten on the track. And let's just say this, I'm a firm believer in them. The Q3s versus the Pilot Power 3s. Pilot Power 3s, probably hands down the best street tire I have ever used. And I mean, my experience with that, I guess you could say, is limited, but just off of what I know, I think that's hands down the best street tire there is. Their use in the wet, it rides really, really good in the wet, in the rain. It has really, really good grip on the street. It heats up pretty nicely, and the longevity of the tire is pretty decent also. I've had 4 sets of Pilot Power 3s, and I'd say an average, it would be about 3,500, 4,000 miles on a set for me. The most I've gotten is 5,000. I actually got 5,000 miles out of a set of Pilot Power 3s. I don't think these Q3s are going to last as long. They're a lot grippier than the Pilot Power 3s. The wet, them in the wet is not very good either. I mean, I don't want to say that it's not good. It's not as good as the Pilot Power 3s. Pilot Power 3s, you know, gets rid of a lot of water. These doesn't have as many grooves cut into them to get the water. They're longer grooves, but they're not as good. Yeah, the Pilot Power 3s channels water a lot better than the Q3s. I've ridden both in the rain, and I usually do ride in the rain. I'm not a fair weather rider. I ride in the rain with no problem. It doesn't bother me. I just know, you got to take it a little easy or whatever. Another thing to talk about between those two tires is the tire profile. The Michelins, once you ride those, like if you've ever ridden on Pilot Power 3s and you know how Michelins are, they literally just fall into the corner. It's like the best feeling in the world. I'm serious, it just falls over. The Dunlops, the Q3s, they're a little different. They took a little bit to get used to, because those tires are actually a taller profile. It doesn't want to fall over. It actually takes a little bit of effort, but once you get the tires all broken in and get them nice and rounded off, and once you break them in and you get used to the tires, it's not that big of a deal. But they definitely do not just fall into the corner like the Pilot Power 3s do, which that's a really nice thing about it. I mean, seriously, that makes you feel like one of the best riders in the world riding on those tires. I can actually give you a quick little example. While we were down by the Tail of the Dragon, we went down to Georgia and rode Blood Mountain. While on Blood Mountain, it was coming in towards the end of the day. We had literally been riding all day. I think we had been on the bikes from like 9 a.m. and it was close to 5, like non-stop riding. We just stopped for gas, and I was starting to get a bit fatigued in my mind and my body, and I didn't realize it. So coming into one of those nice corners that, you know, or those of you who have ridden on Blood Mountain, where the road, you know, it kind of splits up in that two lane highway or whatever going down the mountain. Coming into one of those corners at a really, really high speed, I kind of dazed off. And by the time I came to, I was basically at the apex of the turn. And I leaned over as far as I absolutely could. It was a pretty violent situation. My knee slider was bouncing off the pavement. I got so low, my elbow was actually scraping the ground. And I think the only way I made it out of that situation is because I had those Q3s on. I was so low to the ground. I was just waiting, honestly just waiting for the bike to slide out from underneath me, and it never did. I was seriously just like, oh my God, I'm gonna crash. Trip's ruined, vacation over. But the bike never actually went anywhere. The tires stuck. And I knew at that moment, if I had kept those Pilot Power 3s on, I would have crashed. I know for a 100% fact I would have crashed. I have yet to use a tire other than these Q3s that stuck so drastically. I mean, the grip on the things was absolutely insane. I am 100% sold on them. I love them. If I had to compare them to another tire on the market, that, you know, would be probably the Pirelli Super Corsa. But you're talking a pretty big price gap for what you're getting for the Q3s versus the Pirellis. Those Pirellis are almost $500 a set. So for those of you out there that are thinking about making the switch from Pilot Power 3s to Q3s or vice versa, or have Q3s and have always wondered what the Pilot Power 3s are all about, honestly, I think overall, street performance, you can't go wrong with the Pilot Power 3s at all. They are an absolute sick tire for all weather conditions and longevity that you get. But I would not recommend them for the track. Q3s for the track, Q3s for super aggressive street riding. To me, they're like a budget Super Corsa. And I have buddies that run Super Corsas, and they are just adamant about the grip that they receive out of those things. And it should be rightly so. I mean, it's a really good Pirelli tire. But that'll pretty much do it about this one. Short video. Just wanted to compare my experiences with tires. So, like, subscribe, comment, stay in touch, and I'll catch you later. Out.